We're going to read from the PDF book Voyagers. This came out in 2003, and it's all about, ancient aliens, ancient history, the Anunnaki, the human enslavement, etc., all the stuff that I talk about and get heavily censored for on some platforms. So hopefully I don't get censored for this one. It's over 20 years old, this book, so the author I don't think is going to mind if I read it. I also found some other people also doing the audiobooks on the internet, on Rumble and YouTube and stuff. So chapter 1 is called The Secrets of Amente Transmissions, 1998. Some of you may have remembered Amente, or the Halls of Amente, from another reading that I did called The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. He refers to the Halls of Amente quite a bit. Throughout the Voyagers, the sleeping abductees, various speakers of the Guardian Alliance have provided you with information pertinent to your times and to the success of your species' evolution. We have provided glimpses of your future, your distant past, and what is taking place behind the scenes of your multidimensional present. All of this data is relevant to various peoples of your times, but there is information not yet addressed that is perhaps the most significant of all, for it will provide you with the missing links of knowledge through which your past, present, and future can be united. We of the Guardian Alliance have an announcement to make. It is a message your species has waited over 800,000 years to hear. Our announcement will be made in later chapters of this book, for without the information contained here within, this announcement would have little meaning for you. In order for you to understand the importance of this message, we must first provide you with a sequential summary of the true history of your evolutionary journey. With these missing passages of time lives the purpose and process of your evolution as people. In previous chapters, we have explored the beginning of your species' lineage, beginning with the inception of your race as the Taranusiums upon planet Tara, in the second harmonic universe 560 million years ago. This is where your Earth drama began, and the place to which you will eventually be led through the course of your evolutionary progression. To explore your entire history from 560 million years ago to the present would require many books. Here we will simply provide you with the data most important to your understanding of the purposes for your present evolution. Origins of the Fall, the first world, Terra, 560 through 550,750,000 YA. What is YA? Oh, years ago. Sorry. Okay, approximately 560 million years ago, upon the planet Tara, within the second harmonic universe, your Earth is presently in the first harmonic universe. Many extraterrestrial and metaterrestrial races combined their genetic and energetic makeup to create a master race of beings that would serve as guardians of the planet Terra. The Serial Council from Harmonic Universe 2, along with several other groups, were appointed as directors and overseers of the project, the Taranusium 1 experiment. Metaterrestrials from the fourth and fifth harmonic universe were the founders of this project, working with a seed race called the Lyrans from the third harmonic universe. The Lyrans created a race of beings in harmonic universe 3 called the Elohim, who would become overseers for the Syrian races in harmonic universe 2. The Elohim became one of numerous supervisory groups within Taranusium 1, or within the Taranusium 1 experiment, due to the Syrian race contribution of genetic identity to the experiment. The Taranusium race evolved for about 8 million years on Terra, with 12 primary subracial divisions among them. Each of the Taranusium subraces carried a genetic slant derived from the 12 primary contributors to the T1 experiment, but all of them carried the unique 12-strand DNA package the T1s were designed to embody. The 12 Taranusium subraces were the Brahman, Draman, Atoni, Trinaten, Azertan, Celtos, Adami, Utarans, Lurai, Ceres, Nezektai, and the Melchizedeks. After evolving successfully for many years, the Taranusium race began to digress, their genetic code breaking down and their cultures falling into disharmony. Manipulation by and interbreeding with various unrelated extraterrestrial strains was the primary cause of this digression. About 8 million years into their evolution, and then it says in parentheses 552 million years ago, the Taranusium race divided into two primary racial strains: the Alanians, sometimes referred to as the Belai-Kudium, and the Lumians, frequently called the Adame Kudman. I wonder if this is Atlantis and Lemuria, what that's referring to. Maybe, okay, let's keep reading. The two strains of Taranusium evolved together on one large landmass called Eden, probably referring to the Garden of Eden, creating two cultures known as Alania and Lumia. Okay, that has to be Atlantis and Lemuria. I think just in this book they're referring to Atlantis as Alania and Lemuria as Lumia, because that was the Garden of Eden. That's Atlantis, Lemuria. It's all connected. Both cultures evolved on Terra for about 1 million years, 551 million years ago. Both races carried the original 12-strand DNA genetic code of their Taranusium lineage, and both carried mutations and digressions of that code from interstellar breeding. Cultural disturbances escalated along with the continued digression of the Alanian and Lumian strains, and hostility arose as the Alanians sought dominion over the more passive Lumian culture. Mu, the Lumians, Ceres, and the priesthood of Mu keeping a close eye on their Alanian antagonists about 550,750,000 years ago. Certain members of the Lumian race foresaw a cataclysm in their future, brought on by the increasingly dangerous Alanian experimentation with power generation through Terra's planetary core. The Lumians petitioned assistance from the Harmonic Universe 2, Syrian Council, and the Harmonic Universe 3, Elohim. Under the direction of the Syrian Council, the Lumians set up amongst their members an organization called the Council of Mu. Through the Council of Mu, the Lumians moved large numbers of their races across the oceans to a small continent on Terra that was primarily uninhabited by organized culture. They named this continent Mu, and for 50,000 years, 550,750,000 years ago to 550,700,000 years ago, the Lumians of Mu worked with Syrian Council to redirect the genetic digression of their race. During this period, the Elohim of HU3, Harmonic Universe 3, interbred with the Lumians, who carried the Ceres Taranuisium subraces strain in their gene codes, creating a race called the Ceres, which purified the genetic strain of the Lumians of Terra. Descendants of the Ceres later became known as the Ceres, just spelled with an S instead of a C. I wonder if that it means Sirius, like the Sirius star system. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, we'll keep reading. Who interacted with the Harmonic Universe 1 Earth humans at various periods. The Lumians and Sirius coexisted peacefully on Mu, attending to the intergalactic and spiritual business of the Council of Mu. The series created the Priesthood of Mu, an egalitarian spiritual collective with a strong matriarchal slant whose practices centered around the teachings of the sacred law of one or unity consciousness. That's another book you can get to, The Law of One. The Mu priesthood exists to this day and is a primary motivating force within certain Terran communities. The community of Mu continued its evolution through the realigned 12-strand DNA gene code until about 550 million years ago. Alania, Templar, Solar Initiatives, and the Syrian Rebellion. Throughout the evolution of Mu, digression continued with the Alanian race, and the anti-Lumian sentiment ran high within the power-hungry Alanian elite. The Alanians employed subterranean grid technologies in hopes of bringing the now bountiful continent of Mu under Alanian dominion. The Lumians in the series foresaw the cataclysm of Terra that would result from these technologies about 900 years prior to the events. The series tried to warn the Alanians to no avail. Petitions to the Syrian Council to redirect the Alanians had failed, giving rise to the Alanian Rebellion and Lumian-Syrian resistance. The Alanians were controlled by an elite group called the Templar Solar Initiates, who had been entrusted with rulership and guardianship over the Alanian continent by the Syrian Council. The Templar Solar Initiates became sympathetic with the Syrian root race Anunnaki in their Syrian rebellion against the Syrian Council and refused to follow dictates of the Syrian Council and advisory Elohim, who based their decisions on teachings of the sacred law of one. Through the Templar Solar Initiates, the power struggle between Syrian Anunnaki and Elohim Syrian Council loyal Syrian quote-unquote blues, which is another Syrian root race, was brought to Terra. This period in Alanian history is known as the Syrian Rebellion, and through this power struggle, planet Terra was almost destroyed. Terranates, Mu, and the priesthood of Ur. And we're still in the time frame of, over 500,000, 500 million years ago, it says. Certain groups of Alanians became aware that the Templar Solar Initiates were misusing power in a way that would result in the implosion of Terra's planetary grid. This group of Alanians approached the Lumians and series of Mu, asking for assistance, and many of them defected to the territories of Mu. The series interbred with the Alanians, primarily those carrying the Utarian Turanusium sub-race genetic line, realigning their digressing genetic code, and these Alanians further interbred with the Lumians. The original Turanusium 12-strand DNA code was rebuilt and purified through the Sirius Lumian-Alanian blend. This revitalized Turanusium race became known as the Ur-Turanates. The Ur-Turanates created the temple and priesthood of Ur upon the continent of Mu. The priesthood of Ur shared most practices of the priest of Mu, but developed interest in more scientific applications of spiritual law, such as portal mechanics. Like the priesthood of Mu, the priest of Ur exist on Terra to this day, and they serve as guardians and gatekeepers of the time portal structures that link Earth to present-day Terra. During the Syrian rebellion on Terra, the priesthood of Ur stood against the Templar Solar Initiates of Alania, eventually retreating underground with the people of Mu, unable to stop the Templars from misusing the power of the planetary core. Small wars within the local galactic sectors were fought during these times, which became known as the Terran Wars. Under direction of the Syrian Council and Elohim, the priests of Ur began to prepare for the pending grid implosion. Many people were evacuated to other sympathetic star systems where they evolved safely, intermingling with other races. Cataclysm of Terra. Approximately 550 million years ago, the power generator crystals deep underground in Alania exploded due to the Templar Solar Initiate's misuse of power from Terra's planetary core. This created the chain reaction of implosions within Terra's planetary grid. Portions of Terra's grid were blown apart and fragmented, becoming detached from the morphinogenic field of the planet. Portions of Alania were immediately destroyed, and the entire planet suffered the effects of a rapid pole reversal. That's what it also talks about in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. He talks about the poles reversing in a major cataclysm. For a period of 2 days, Terra ceased to rotate on its axis. It took 10,000 years to restabilize Terra's environment, during which time the few surviving Terran races still on planet retreated permanently underground. Descendants of those civilizations who survived this disaster still flourish within elaborate underground communities. Surface life also returned to Terra following this 10,000-year period of healing, because portions of the planet's energy structures had been ripped from the main planetary grid. Planet Terra could not continue its evolution of dimensional ascension into the third harmonic universe. Terra could not reemerge with the energy grid of its Dimension 7 counterpart Gaia until its own grid system was repaired. Terra became trapped in the tracks of time within the second harmonic universe. The fall to harmonic universe 1 and the 12 planets. The fragments of the Terran planetary grid that became dismembered from Terra's core supply rapidly fell in vibration until they could no longer resist the natural magnetic pole of the descending interdimensional energy currents. The planet fragments were pulled into a sun within Terra's universe, vaporized, and the morphinogenic field carried in those fragments was pulled into a black hole at the center of the sun and re-emerged into a galaxy within the lower dimensional fields of the harmonic universe 1. Entering this system as gaseous substance, this morphinogenic field broke down into 12 pieces, which set up a mini solar system around a star within an already existing harmonic universe 1 solar system. One of the 12 pieces of Terra's fragmented morphinogenic field fused with the sun, while the 11 other pieces began to build up matter density and remanifest their forms through their portion of the morphinogenic field. Well, that's pretty interesting. This is claiming that like all these different worlds and planets, they have their own like vibration or their own like energetic vibrational field that causes them to manifest. These planets did not birth into existence in a usual accretion fashion, for they carried with them the organizational imprint of part of Terra's planetary grid morphinogenic field. These planets did not birth into Harmonic Universe 1, they fell into it, literally. Their original morphogenic field fell into vibration, reorganized through the morphogenic field of a star and remanifested within a slower vibrating dimensional scale. The 12 new planets entering Harmonic Universe 1, 55 million years ago, are the planets of your local solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Maldek, which and it says in parentheses that imploded to become the asteroid belt. And I believe in the Anunnaki mythology, they refer to that one as Tiamat, if I'm not mistaken. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Nibiru, very long orbit, not yet discovered by Earth scientists. Yeah, it supposedly has a 3,600 year elliptical orbit, and that's said to be where the Anunnaki came from at some point. And that was the planet that was being messed up with the atmosphere. So they came to Earth to start getting the gold to repair it, according to the Anunnaki mythology. Okay, it says, and your sun, the part of Terra's morphogenic field that fused with this already existing non-Terran sun. The fragments of Terra became part of the unified field morphogenic structure of Harmonic Universe 1. The fall of man and the lost souls of Alania. The event of Terra's cataclysm became known as the fall of man. This history became interwoven with other events on Earth that occurred since that time, appearing in various forms throughout human mythology. The Adam and Eve drama of biblical stories combined this event as the fall from God's grace and removal from the Garden of Eden with other earthly events, including the Dracon infiltration and, the Dracon infiltration of around 1 million years ago. The stories became a depiction of multi-level events from various time periods woven together in a symbolic event portrayed in the stories. This was also done in relation to the biblical flood and Noah. The consciousness of the beings who were blown apart in Tara's fall also fell into Harmonic Universe 1. They became ripped from their race morphogenic field at Terra's core and disengaged from their original soul matrices through which they needed to evolve in order to pass out of the time matrix and dimensionalized systems and return to source as pure consciousness. The souls of Alana became trapped in time, fragmented as units of consciousness within the unified field of Harmonic Universe 1, and there they would have remained if a rescue mission had not been orchestrated. A Menti rescue mission, the Covenant of Palador and the Paladorians of Terra. Just prior to the cataclysm on Terra 550 million years ago, the series Urtaranates and Lumians of Mu devised a plan to rescue the Terran souls that would be lost in Harmonic Universe 1 during the approaching disaster. Being skilled at time portal mechanics and interdimensional portal travel, the series created a plan that the Urtaranates would fulfill. With the assistance of the Syrian Council, Elohim, and Harmonic Universe 2 Pleiadians, the Urtaranates formed an agreement with several other Harmonic Universe 2 races, all called the Covenant of Palador. Through the Covenant of Palador, a rescue mission for Terran souls of Harmonic Universe 1 was set in motion. Those involved in this agreement, the Syrians, Pleiadians, Urtaranates, Elohim, Lyran, Ceres, Lumians, and Alanians, became known as the Paladorians. Working through the Brinu Rishi, which are beings of pure consciousness from Harmonic Universe 5, the Paladorians petitioned for their assistance from an entity gestalt within Metagalactic Core, or the Metagalactic Core. This entity is known as Ra, or Ra Confederacy. So that Law of One that it mentioned, that was supposedly channeled coming from Ra. So like someone on Earth channeled the knowledge of Ra, and that's how they wrote the book, the Law of One, according to sources. But you'll have to decide for yourself. Of the 12 primary identity gestalts within the Ra Confederacy, members of its 4 largest gestalts became involved and allowed for the rescue mission to take place. The 4 primary members of the Ra Confederacy involved within the Covenant of Pelador are the Azurites, Atana, Ammonites, and the Brigidet. A subgroup of the Brigidet are presently incarnating on your Earth system as members of the Ascended Master family of Viraji. Several other groups associated with these 3 gestalts are also involved with Earth at this time, including the Consciousness Gestalt Azara and an HU2 ET race, or a Harmonic Universe 2 ET race known as the Tsar Confederacy. Time travel and the sphere of Amenti. 550 million years ago, pre-cataclysmic Tara. Using interdimensional portal mechanics, the Ur-Turanates of the Covenant of Pelador time traveled into Harmonic Universe 1 to a time-space coordinate positioned just after the cataclysm of Terra and the fall of man. Once on Earth, with the help of the Syrian Council, this group of Uturanates transmuted their body forms into pure energy. In parentheses, it says Chelantic science, and merged into a Gestalt energy field of consciousness, which served as a morphinogenic field, or the 12-strand DNA Turaneusium race prototype. Also contained within this morphinogenic field were the Chelantic time codes. In parentheses, it says electrotonal frequency patterns of the pre-cataclysmic time-space coordinates of Terra, which would allow Terra to reassemble the lost portions of its grid into the fabric of time. With the assistance of the Ra Confederacy, this Gestalt of consciousness, genetic, and planetary morphinogenic field was entered into the remaining morphinogenic field of Earth through the 11th and 14th dimensions. This morphinogenic field of Earth... This morphinogenic field of consciousness energetically took on the shape of a sphere and was called the Sphere of Amenti, named after the portion of Terra's morphinogenic field that contained the imprint for Mu and its inhabitants. Amenti was the part of Terra's planetary core that connected energetically to the portals upon the continent of Mu. By placing the Sphere of Amenti within the Earth core, a wormhole or portal link was established between Earth's core in Dimension 2 and Terra's core in Dimension 5. Through numerous other portals between Earth and Terra existed, or though numerous other portals between Earth and Terra existed, these had become unstable and their operations unpredictable following the fall. The Sphere of Amenti would create a stable portal structure that, once operational, would stabilize the other portals and allow open transit between Earth and Terra for the beings possessing genetic codes that could endure portal transit. The Sphere of Amenti would link into the space-time of Terra's pre-fall past, with this sphere placed within the Earth as Earth re-evolved through dimensional ascension back into the Terra grid following the morphinogenic imprint from the sphere. A link between the future Terra and its pre-cataclysmic past would be re-established. Terra's past would be reattached to the time matrix grid as Terra's future time cycles. Through the Sphere of Amenti, a bridge was constructed between Terra's pre-cataclysmic past and the future track cycles of time. When a planet undergoes such a trauma, having a portion of its grid blown apart, not only does it lose the portions of its evolutionary history stored within the cellular memory of the parts that blew apart, it also loses a portion of its energetic thrust. Without this thrust, the planet cannot evolve out of its harmonic universe and into the next. The planet and most life forms on it become trapped in the fabric of time. The sphere of Amenti not only gave hope for the continued evolution of human Turanusium lineage, it held the hopes of ascension and continued evolution for Earth, Terra, and their seventh dimensional counterpart, Gaia. If one was trapped in time, they would all be trapped. The only other option available in such cases of planetary morphinogenic field fragmentation is that of a host matrix transplant, as previously discussed in relation to people, and this is exceedingly difficult to achieve on a planetary level. Each of the 12 planets in Harmonic Universe 1 that emerged as a result of Terra's fragmentation received a similar morphinogenic sphere from the Peladorians to fulfill the same purpose. But here we are only concerned with the sphere of Amenti, as through it Earth became an ascension planet, able to achieve dimensional ascension through re-evolution.